Hello and welcome. I'm Martin Fix, a Technology Director at Star, and I'm going to present you some thoughts about human-agentic interaction, namely how people will interact with all these new available AI capabilities, and what should be covered, what should be considered, and what are maybe missing points in the current perspective, which is a bit more tech-focused than human-centric. So the big question is, what is the new way of interacting with all these capabilities? Everybody starts using it. Everybody knows what to do it. And everybody is talking about the capabilities. AI can do this, AI can do that. Here's a new feature, here's a new capability. But there seems to be only very little attention to what does it mean to actually use this system? What should be the interaction between a human and an agentic system? How could it be used safely, securely? How do you build trust? How do you build confidence? And how do you make sure that the interaction actually feels valuable for everyone and it's not just acceptable for some tech-savvy people? And to center the thought around this a kind of a provoking question. What if the biggest risk we're talking about is not machines having enough capability, but people not knowing how to use them? What if we just fail on the usage of AI because we don't understand it properly anymore, how to actually interact with it? That would be a quite dangerous road. So the shift we are seeing is that in the past, you have been using software with a predefined flow. You click on something, then something happens. The next evolution was a while ago, a couple of years ago, you prompt an AI. So you're writing something, you're getting something back. But where we currently are and where this is heading more and more is actually the delegation of intent. So you formulate what you want to achieve, and the system takes the context and builds an understanding of how to get there. So that means the users will get away from describing individual things and tasks in detail, but they will start orchestrating or managing activities, maybe multiple agents at the same time, to arrive at your goal, to meet your intention. And as I mentioned before, a lot of discussion is about capabilities of the AI systems, right? Which model to be used, what data can be accessed, what can AI do, what can it do better? Now it can do coding, it can book trips, it can decide on your grocery list, it can build complex models, etc. But the question about interaction is not asked too much. How do you do a safe delegation? How do you understand what's going on? How do you feel really served by the system and not tricked or not being in a position where you're losing control, actually? So what is it that this interaction layer should have? How should it look like? And this is what this presentation is about, to give you some insights and thoughts how this could look like and what we believe is valuable and should be considered. A quick comparison. In a traditional user experience, there was fixed flows, you had predefined options, there were specific steps you could do, and the interface was leading your experience. In the agentic era, you express what you want to do. The system is taking what you have told it, and then builds a context around it, uses the existing context, and will try to help to achieve this goal. So the interaction is more or less driven in a way what you should get. And the capabilities used are manifold. You might even not know what behind the scenes of the agentic system is utilized, what data, what other systems, what other agents. And to achieve the outcome, it might not even necessarily matter too much, as long as you get what you need, and you get it fast and with a good quality. What we believe, however, is that whenever you interact with an agent, you should be able to understand. And the agent should be able to understand your intention. It should act safely, but keeps you in control to the level you like it and you need it. So that means, like in the past, when you were working with colleagues, you were telling them what you want to do, you were trusting a person, and you were given, you delegated a certain level of decision-making authority to arrive at their goal. And if authority was not enough, they would come back to you and ask for further approval. This might be the same way you want to interact with agents. So you delegate, you allow for certain actions, and when the agent reaches these boundaries, you would expect that it comes back with proposals which you can confirm or decline. That also means that the interfaces get much more dynamic because the things which need to be asked, the questions, the challenges, the topics might vary quite a lot. And this goes far beyond pure interface design. This is a behavioral thing now. So the UX defines how you traditionally move through an interface, but an interaction model, and we actually call it the Human-Agentic Interaction Model, defines how the collaboration itself is shaped. What are the patterns? What are the guardrails? What are the guidelines to be considered when an agentic system starts interacting with a human? And this covers many dimensions, which we are going to drill down now a little to give more clarity what we have in mind. So here's a brief overview. It's about 8 points, and don't worry, it won't take too long, but all of these 8 points actually matter, are quite important. The first one is it must be human value first. So whatever the system does must serve a human and provide some value. If not, it's not a proper system. Second, the safety of actions must always be superior to capabilities. So the fact that the system can do something is not relevant. It needs to be able to do it safe. And if it can't, the capability should not be used. That leads to the third one, which means that humans stay in control. So you delegate a level of authority which can be revoked at any point of time as you see fit. So you never lose control what the system is doing. And within these boundaries, topic number 4 means the system can and should adapt to the user's needs. So when it learns that certain interaction patterns are in favor, it should focus on these. If the system understands that a specific amount of data, some information, some input would be helpful and is appreciated by the user, it should start using it. But only within the given boundaries and level of control which has been delegated. And that also means, and this is topic number 5, that any agentic system should always act transparent and traceable. So everything, all actions taken should be able to be investigated. It should be able to present what was done, what was chosen, what data was used, etc. Of course, data needs to be protected, and the user always needs to own the output. This is point 6. Point 7 is a technical thing. It means that the Human-Agentic Interaction Model needs to be deeply embedded into the solution right from the beginning. You cannot bolt it on at a later point of time. And last but not least, agentic systems should fall and comply with any ethical and regulatory requirements within the given context. And that could mean that different states of the world or different regions have different requirements here. There is no one fits all. Now let's drill down a little bit deeper on all of these topics. So the first one is the system must create a user value. That means whatever it does, it should help you what you want to achieve on your journey. If it can do many other things, that's nice, but if they're not helping and not providing the value you're expecting, they should not be used. And this is especially important as there's always an economical model behind it. So burning additional tokens, for example, to present something which the user does not need, should not be part of the architecture or not be the behavior of the system. If there's something which creates additional value, the system might propose it and even execute on it when it falls within the given level of authority, and that's fine. But if anything the system does is only for the sake of creating additional consumption, which means revenue for the vendor, or if it's just something which nobody needs, it should not be done. When we talk about safe actions, it's really about not what can AI do in general, but what can it do in a safe manner within the current context. So what can it do which respects all my requirements and constraints and all my preferences as a user I have defined? And if that action, which is technically possible, but cannot be executed in a safe way, this action should not be taken. And this should be made clear by the system. It should tell me, look, with the given situation and context and constraints, I'm not able to perform this action for these reasons. And this leads directly